Hey everybody, Debbie DuBois here again for another video. I felt really drawn to do one. I just published an article this morning that talks a lot about the changes that the Divine Masculine are undergoing. And one of the comments that I got on the article, it was brilliant. And it was basically, there was Divine Feminine who basically said, oh, I had every faith that the Divine Masculine would make the shifts that need to be made, or else why would we have gone through this at all? And I thought, that's brilliant. Really? I wish I could remember exactly who said it. I'd give you a shout out, but you know who you are. So anyways, I thought I would do a reading for September. I don't get a lot of opportunities to do these videos anymore, although I've been talking to Kalina and we're gonna be doing another video, maybe even tomorrow. We've got several different conversations that we want to have, and I'm excited about that. But it's a Saturday night, it's the Labor Day, or Labor Day, it's Labor Day, oh my goodness, Labor Day weekend, and I just had some time on my hands, so I thought I would pull together a card reading. I love doing these things. I just did one earlier for another friend of mine. I just enjoy doing them, so I figured I would do them, and they're telling me to stop now. So let's go ahead and just see. The kind of layout that I do is 3 across the top, 2 right below that, and 1 below that. It's like an upside down triangle. I think the reason why I do that, now that I think about it, is that that's the Divine Feminine. You know, the Divine Feminine symbol, and it seems to give me a good deal of information about what's happening. So the first card that I pulled is Meditate, okay? The second card is Priorities. I already know where this is going. The third card is Open Your Heart. Right. The fourth card is Find the Blessings in Your Current Situation. Oh my God. The Power of Joy. And Trust. This is exactly what has been coming up for the Divine Feminine. This is a reading for the Divine Feminine. And that does not mean that, you know, you could be a man or a woman, but the Divine Feminine is someone who leans more towards the Divine Feminine energy. Our aim is always to bring in perfect balance between the Divine Feminine and Masculine within ourselves, but we tend to come in imprinted or blueprinted a little bit more one than the other, and that's what we're talking about here. This is for the feminine. Okay, I'm going to just say that right out. This is for the feminine, because if you read the article, I'll post the link to it. If you read the article that I wrote, it is talking about the shifts that the Divine Masculine is making, and really how they're being very affected by the Divine Feminine and where they're at, what they've been through, and frankly, the Divine Feminine is standing in their power right now. I can't tell you how many people that I know personally who are in a particular place right now where they feel at ease in their own skin, they feel very comfortable. Now, that doesn't mean that the Divine Feminine doesn't have stuff to work out. I know personally, I've been dealing with a lot of familial issues, karmic relationship issues. It's almost as if even though you're in your own power, you still have to continue to work through the blocks that you have. I know for me personally, I've had some issues with feeling guilty about pursuing my own path, and how that affects my children and how it affects the people who live in my home, because I still carry a bit of the programming that you know, puts it in my field that it's supposed to be up to me to take care of everybody. And that is something that I've done a lot of releasing on within the last couple of days. I've seen some immense shifts and changes in how I feel about those programs. So, so the Divine Feminine is sitting really, really comfortably in her skin in terms of how she feels about a relationship, either with the Divine Masculine counterpart or with the masculine in general. And that's a lot about what my article, it talks more about the divine masculine and the shifts that they're going through, but it addresses the divine feminine and where we're sitting at this point. So this reading that we have, it's interesting. The first card that's pulled is meditates. And for me, meditation is not the way people think of meditation. I do not sit in, lotus position and clear my mind and all of that. But what I do is I go into meditative states while I'm doing things. Either being outside, going outside in the morning, having a cup of coffee or tea, walking to where I open up my heart center and I shut the brain down just a little bit. I spend more time listening to the sounds of nature, listening to my heartbeat. And I don't have to be sitting there in any kind of position to do this. It's tuning in. Meditating is tuning into your heart. What is your heart telling you? And during this period of time, while we're working on our own stuff, we have a lot of things that are still coming to the surface that we need to deal with. And what's coming up really strongly for me and just about everyone that I've pulled cards for is priorities. What's your priorities? Okay? For me, my priority is my mission. It's why I'm here. Now, I have obligations and, I have multiple priorities because I do have a business and I do have a business partner and I do have a family. But my mission here is the spiritual work I'm doing, moving in towards ascension. That is why I'm here. That is my greatest passion. I had someone say to me, someone that I met, a very dear old soul friend, and he said to me, he said, your passion is not web design. I will admit that. I like web design. I love web design, but guess what? My passion is this. It's anything that has to do with enlightenment and helping people understand or see a different perspective. It's for my own path, the things that I'm learning so that I can shift, so that I can be the change that I need to be. Those are my priorities. So when we start looking at priorities, we as the divine feminine, and I'm not going to say just the divine feminine, but we have to look at our priorities. What is important? You'll notice that time has moved in such a way, we don't have time for anything else. I don't know about you, but the things that are important to me, they have to get done. And the other things are going to fall by the wayside. And, that it's funny because I want to say priorities, and let's figure out how this divine masculine, divine feminine falls into this mix. There's a video that I wanted to do a little while ago that kind of goes along with the article that I just put out about the divine masculine and the shifts and the divine feminine being in a place where she really doesn't want to deal with the divine masculine's need for, I want to say, a woman in their life. Not necessarily them, a sacred partner, but any woman in their life, needing the woman, needing that person there, or being in a position of rescuing or whatever. The divine feminine is like, we're not having it. It's your issue. You deal with it. In the meantime, I've got my priorities. So I was doing a video one day. It was when Kalina was in town. And I was at the pool and had my video camera up and I was in the flow about the divine feminine needing her space to do her priorities. And just as I was like halfway through the video, some guy from our neighborhood walks by. He interrupts while I'm videotaping. He sits down next to me and he wants to be the charmer. He sees a confident, comfortable woman who's, obviously doing a video, and he could not just leave me in my space. He had to invade my space and try to pull me off my priorities. Guess what? It worked because I had lessons to learn. I had to figure out that my priority is not allowing the distractions to pull me off of what I was trying to do, but it was so funny because that video was actually about the divine masculine needing a woman's attention, and how the divine feminine is just not in that space right now. Now, don't get me wrong, divine feminine is open-hearted and absolutely loving divine masculine energy and counterparts, but make no mistakes about it, while our hearts are open to love, and we feel it, and we embody it, we don't need them to feel it. We don't need them to have that open heart. That is the divine feminine that is starting. And I'm starting to call it the awakened divine feminine, because there are a lot of the feminine, divine feminine, that I know right now that are not doing this. They're not doing this. They are not in their own power. Does that mean that they are not divine feminine? No, it just means they're not awakened to all of this energy, that they need to take responsibility again. They need to step into their own power. If they've got their power somewhere else and they're playing games and they're pretending that everything is okay, that is not awakened. I don't care how awakened someone thinks they are. If they are not standing in their own power at this point and really feeling like I'm okay by myself, I don't need anybody else. I don't need that person to be waiting on me. I don't need that person to be, in my space all the time. They may have their heart open to love, but there's conditions on it. That is not the awakened divine feminine. It just isn't. So the divine feminine that is awake, what we're doing right now, we're finding the blessings in our current situation. And I want to say something about this card, because this card, it is what I discovered this week in my own situation, in my own soulmate relationships here in my very own family. I had the opportunity to talk to a member of my family, and we were talking about what is happiness. And it became so clear to me that happiness is being able to be grateful. When you're able to be grateful for everything that's happening right now, not what's going to happen a month from now, not what's going to happen tomorrow, but what is it that you have to be grateful for right now? When you are grateful for what you have right now, and you're not thinking about what you want that you don't have, this is the secret to happiness. And we make that choice every single day to find the blessing in our current situation. And I'm telling you right now, I see the divine timing of every single little thing that is happening. Everything is building just like a screenplay, just like the best movie you ever wanted to see. But guess who's the starring role? You are. And everything is so magically aligned that the doors open when they're supposed to, the doors close when they're supposed to. When you can find the blessing in any situation that you're in, then you really truly are on that path to your authentic self. So anyways, I love this card. And what does that do? It brings joy. It brings lots and lots of happiness and joy, because you no longer question the things that are before you. You can let go. You don't have to sit there and say, oh my God, this is happening and that is happening and I just don't have any control. You're like, oh my gosh, I have all the control in the world. My soul decided that these are the things that I need to get me to where I want to be. So obviously this is just another one of them, even if it seems like it's really bad. The situation you're dealing with, right here, it creates you joy if you only see it from a blessing standpoint. And what that means is that you have to have a tremendous amount of trust. You have to trust. You have to believe that it's all happening for a reason. That's really the key. They talk about faith. What is faith? Faith is your ability to know that whatever situation you've got going on right now is there for your benefit, not to harm you in any way. It's to show you something. And the more that I get that, the more that I understand that the joy that I'm seeking, this joy is in my grasp. I want to talk about a circumstance that I had happen to me on the eclipse, because to me it was my greatest lesson that I've had in a long time. Right before the eclipse, I think Kalina and Debbie DuBois and I were getting ready to do a sacred ceremony for the eclipse. And I knew how extremely important it was to be in a really, really good frame of mind. And we all made the trip to South Carolina. I was at my sister's house. We were in the middle of most beautiful pastures. We had a pool, access to a pool. The cows were in the next pasture. It was incredible. But right before, I had a trigger. And it happened to be a trigger that I had from back in 8th grade. And I knew very specifically that energy pattern, and I saw myself responding to it. And it's really funny because I reached out to my friend and we started talking, and he started helping me, let's look at this and let's think it through, and and he started taking me on an intellectual path. We had 20 minutes until the eclipse was beginning. And that's when all of a sudden it just dawned on me, and I was in a bad way. My sister was there, and she saw me, and I told her what the pattern was. She remembers very distinctly from our childhood what the circumstances were, and it was something that triggered right before this eclipse. And but it was like there was no getting out of it intellectually. The only way that I was going to get out of the circumstance was to shift it. This card reminded me so much of that, the blessing of that situation. I had something, actually I had two things that day that I had to release. One of the things was something that Katumi said to me, and it really triggered me, and I was like very upset, very hurt, went up all into defenses, and he tends to do that with me. He's such an amazing teacher. He tends to do that where he triggers, just small things, pushes these little buttons, but there's always a purpose. Again, find the blessing in the current situation. Well, anyway, so to make a long story just a tiny bit longer, right before the eclipse, I realized I'm either going to let this triggered pattern stop me from doing the job that I came here to do, or I was going to shift that energy, and that energy was not going to shift through my mind. It was going to shift in my heart, and it had to be an energetic shift, and I could do it. So all of a sudden I said goodbye to my friend. I said, you know what? I've got to figure this out in my heart. I can't go into my head right now. I don't have time to do that. And what I did was I turned on some K-pop music. I love K-pop music. My daughter, my 13-year-old has gotten me into it. My 19-year-old loves it. My family loves it. And it makes me so happy. I turned on my favorite K-pop song, and within 2 minutes, I was going out and joining everybody that was there in the pool and started to feel that energy come over me. And I slowly released all of that energy. It only took about 5-10 minutes, but I made my mind up to go into my heart, and I shifted that energy. That taught me right then and there that we have every ability to shift our unhappiness just like that. But you have to find the blessings in the situation, and you have to have gratitude for what's there. And you also have to go into your heart, get out of the head. You're not going to figure out problems. You might get ideas like I did. Oh, wow, I can see this. This is an energy I had from my 8th grade experience, and I really can't let this get to me in the present, and I need to let it go. But again, it's a priority of mine to not stay in that space. And the more and more enlightened you become to your awakened self, the absolutely intolerableness it will be for you to stay in that place. So I'm going to do one last thing, and I'm going to pull one last card for an outcome. As you're going through all of this, focus on your strength. What is that strength? I have a lot of them I'm discovering. I love it. I love to have discovered like my authentic being, the connections that I'm able to make through my ability to connect with others, that my heart being open is one of my strengths. I can communicate how I feel from the heart. I can write what I love. I can be creative. I can be patient. I can be kind. I can be very tolerant. Those are the things you focus on. You focus on what is it about yourself that you really love. If you focus on the things, you focus on those things, you can't help but succeed. You can't help but go to the place that you want to be. Apollo is teaching us. Focus on those strengths. That's what we're here to do. So on that note, you know what? I got to pull one more card. I know why. Because as part of all of this, this is a purification that's happening to everybody right now. And it's not just a purification of the body. It's a purification of your thoughts. It's a purification of the state of being that you allow yourself to sit in. And I want to provide just a little bit more encouragement for the divine feminine masculine balance. It's coming. September's a huge month. This last month was incredibly important. Some of the things that took place with this eclipse and the Lion's Gate and the release and the letting go and the pressure cooker situation that the divine masculine is in. And actually for the divine feminine, since the masculine have been so wrapped up in their world, it's an opportunity that the divine feminine has had to really stand in her power and realize, oh my God, I'm okay. I'm free. I love being me. I love being in my power. Well, we've got a big shift coming, even bigger than what we've seen. It's time. I know that for a long time you've been thinking shift is happening, and it has been. There's not a magic date when everything bing, is better, but there are definite signposts. We're about to see some. We're going to definitely see some in September. There's some huge shifts coming. I am so excited about it. Most important thing though, stay focused in your heart. Focus on your priorities. Focus it on what is most dear and near to your heart. And most of all, give yourself some love. Forgive yourself for not always being in that, wonderful space. Accept yourself, love yourself, and be kind and gentle to those people around you, especially the divine masculine. They're really having a hard time right now. They might not admit it. They might not admit it because there's a lot of really strong divine masculine out there that are just troopers. You know who you are. But just know, we can't stay in these stuck spaces forever. We have to shift. We have to go into freedom. You have to understand, freedom isn't just in your mind. Freedom is in your circumstances. Freedom is in your ability to have time for yourself. This is the beauty of the freedom that's coming with the divine feminine masculine balance. And I really want to thank you for spending this time with me. I look forward to the next time that we speak. And before I go, I do want to say there is a video coming with Kalina and I. Hopefully we're going to do it within the next day or two. I want to say that we are hitting Akron, Ohio. We are looking to go to some other very exciting places, which we'll be talking about soon. If you have not gotten your tickets for Akron, I can say right now you really will want to look at getting them sooner than later. We have 50 tickets available and they're actually selling quite quickly. Things are going much faster than the Chicago conference did and definitely more than Atlanta. So if you want those tickets and you feel moved to be with us, please get your tickets as soon as possible. There are discounts available at the hotel, and all that information can be found. I'll put a link to it on this video. It's going to be an amazing conference. I think we'll probably talk a little bit about that a little bit more in depth when we do our video together. We have like 3 or 4 topics that we've been really itching to discuss together. The beauty about the work that we do together is we do the same kind of work, but we're coming from different perspectives. So not just different perspectives, but just different it is somewhat different perspectives, but it's just a different focus maybe. and we're getting the same information at the same time, just from different downloads. So I hope you'll join our video. Come see it, come watch our video, and please join us in Akron, Ohio, if you feel led to do so. Thank you so much, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon. Namaste. Love you much. Bye.